Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing?
How diddly
Morning,
do.
Jason.
Howdy. How you doing? I just noticed my
Hope
band-aid.
everybody's doing all right out there.
I sliced my finger yesterday. I'm not going to show you. Gotta be careful with it. It was that finger right there.
I was waiting for it.
Well, it happens. I'm not gonna say, I had something totally different come in my. I was at Walmart yesterday, and I had the slowest, rudest, just nastiest cashier I think I've ever dealt with in my life. It was horrible experience. So I guess it's my own fault for using the self-checkout lane.
Nice. I was waiting for something. Wasn't expecting that, but
the
waiting
guy
for
was
something.
a jerk. I'm telling you, just
The
absolutely.
guy was a jerk. Scanning all your groceries.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, what are we talking about today?
I honestly have no clue. It's a pot shot, I think, today. No, we're talking about if you're stuck in neutral, This one's probably just going to be talking to me, myself. I'm gonna have a conversation with myself. Are you stuck in neutral? Well, we're going to be talking about identifying and resolving what's holding your business back. That's what we're supposed to be talking about today. We have no clue where it's actually going to go because, like most times, we stay on track, but it may go off a little off track. So, yeah. This is how we roll.
You're giving dad jokes a bad name.
No, I am not. But the book of dad jokes isn't. Here, let's just do it. Let's do a random joke again. Here we go. This is the thing I love about this. Here we go. Right there. That one right there.
Maybe we should start telling mom jokes.
Oh yeah. Okay. The CEO of IKEA was just elected Prime Minister of Sweden. I didn't know that. The first thing he'll need to do is assemble his cabinet. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, my kids they get me dad joke books.
There will be no instructions, or they will be very hard to read.
I mean, come January, I'm just saying. You all say a prayer for my son. He just got home from Lackland Air Force Base. He goes back out December 2nd. He's got to go up to Scott Air Force Base. He'll be there for 18 days. Comes home for the holidays. And right now, it's looking like he's going to be going out to D.C. for a couple weeks or a few weeks, working security for the inauguration. So exciting.
Sweet.
At first, I was like, sweet, can you get us passes? And then I was like, oh, crap, I don't know if we want to be there. Like, he's already had a couple of attempts on his life. I mean, is that someplace we really want to be? I don't know. But
I would think that would be pretty beefed up, though.
Yeah.
I would think that he's probably fairly safe.
Yeah. If he gets to go, I think that'd be a cool experience. But yeah, keep him in your prayers. Yeah.
Just to say he's there, I think it'd be cool.
Yep.
Well, let's say hi to some people. We got some people chiming in. Garrison, good morning. EJ, how you doing?
Hola.
How you doing?
Hey, that guy's got a really cool profile picture.
Yeah. This guy's got a better look right here.
Oh well, you can go back and look at mine again.
And then we got the infamous Doug Shear.
I was trying to follow up.
See, how can we follow Doug? Like Doug does Mondays. How can we even follow that? It makes it so hard to come on Tuesdays. Eric,
I don't know.
Good morning.
You ever just have like random stuff on your desk? I got a Rubik's Cube on my desk. My oldest gave me this, and it's like, I still have yet to solve this thing. I've watched so many tutorials, and I do the spin here, spin there, spin that, and do this, and still 3 years later, I haven't solved it. So
there's only 3 moves you got to make.
Up, down, right, and left.
Or actually 4 moves you got to make.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah. In practice, it makes sense.
Just
or in theory.
Stuff. You got random stuff on your desk, or is it pretty
clean? Oh my gosh, you wouldn't even want to see my desk right now. It's like become a total mess.
I'm pretty good. I take once a week, I straighten out my desk. And I think that's one thing we need to talk about as business owners. How often are you straightening up your desk, or your work truck? That might step on a few toes if we talk about work trucks again.
Yeah, you start talking about work vehicles.
Sean.
You gotta clean up. It makes you feel better. You know, gives you a sense
from
of
the
accomplishment. Keeps you
Sunshine State,
organized. Keeps your state of
Florida.
mind
Yeah, Sean's in
good.
Florida, not California. California is the actual Sunshine State, right?
I think anywhere but Illinois is the Sunshine State right now.
Amen to that. Ugh, it's Illinois. Don't
All
even
right,
keep going.
let me pray us in. You got the verse, and then we'll get
Same as
rocking on this
first.
and see why we're stuck in neutral.
Sounds good.
Dear Heavenly Father, I ask that you be with us. Help us to stay focused. Help us to have a clear understanding of why we cannot stay focused. What's holding us back in our personal lives, our business lives, professional lives, and with the relationships. There's people out there that are struggling with all of these things right now, Lord. I ask that you be with them. Raise them up, lift them up. I lift them up to you in your holy name. Amen.
Way.
All right.
Preach. Hey, we're gonna totally go off cuff. We had a couple scriptures picked out, and it's like, you know what, we're gonna throw those away. We're just gonna go with this one. So we got Proverbs 24, 5-6 in the NIV version, which is not the King James, but it still preaches. So NIV, it says, "The wise prevail through great power, and those who have knowledge muster their strength. Surely you need guidance to wage war, and victory is won through many advisors." Many advisors. So these verses remind us that wisdom and seeking counsel are key to navigating challenges and making decisions. Wisdom equips us with strength. It equips us with the guidance of trusted advisors that can lead you to success. So, in whatever situation you're facing, it underscores the importance of seeking God's wisdom and leaning on trusted people to help you discern your next steps in both your family and your business. So, yeah, it's one of those couldn't hit home more than you know.
Yeah.
So,
it does go along with our topic this morning.
That is
really
for
well,
sure.
So what's got you stuck in neutral? What's holding you back in your business?
What is the root cause?
Me.
Me.
I'm the only, like, when I look at all what's holding back the business, the only common denominator is me. Every time. I was feeling pretty defeated yesterday. I really was. Yeah. Like everything was going so well. And then I had a setback. Nothing huge, but it made me feel a little defeated. And I kind of was a little bit down in the dumps, you know, and thank God it happened late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And people were here and I talked through it, and it's no big deal in the end. Like, I woke up this morning with a newfound energy and perspective on it, and I'm moving forward. So it's no big deal, you know.
Maybe we should have talked yesterday.
Yeah. But yeah, I had what I thought was, I'll tell you this story. It's not that big a deal. It's no secret. I hired a new employee. He started last Monday, going through all the training. He's phenomenal. Like, I'm getting along with this guy so good. There's so much promise. He really was really good. We're going through all the training, and Friday hits, and he sends me a message and tells me, "Hey, my mom has advanced Alzheimer's, and my sibling and I have to go find out, you know, something's going on with her. We've got to go find out what's going on with her situation." So he goes and does that, sends me an update on Saturday, and then yesterday he doesn't show up. And I sent him a message. I'm like, "Is everything all right? You know, are you going to be coming into work late today? Do you need another day off? What's going on? And I get an email yesterday afternoon or very early evening that he's got to quit because he has to be the caregiver of his mother now. And they don't have her enough money to put her in the proper facility.
Hmm.
And he's the only one that can be a caretaker. So he has to move in with his mom now and or have her move in with him and do that. So it was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? Like, it's not his fault. It wasn't a decision that he came to make on his, out of selfishness or anything like that. And I'm like, of course, family first. It's always family first. But it was like going so good and it was like too good to be true almost, so I felt a little defeated yesterday. But this morning I woke up and I'm like, you know what? God had a plan for this. There's, I'm just waiting to see what he's going to do at this point. So at least I wasn't like 5-6 weeks in or 6 months in, and this happened, after 4 days, I can live with that. I'm comfortable with the outcome.
So from a business perspective, what did you do to get out of that? Get out of that slump, to get out of that hump,
I literally started thinking about the positive things instead of the negative. That's the only way I could do it. I was thinking about the negative and I'm like getting wrapped up in my own head. And I finally just said, stop thinking that way. Start thinking about the next thing. Start thinking about the good things. And there's a reason this happened. There's positive that can come out of anything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't detrimental to my business. It didn't harm me. It cost me a little bit of money, but in the grand scheme of things, maybe I helped him learn some things. He helped me learn some things, and all is good in the world.
Yeah, that's good.
Some things you have no control over. So therefore, why should I let it affect me the way I started to let it affect me? And I was feeling bummed out maybe for a couple hours, and then I just had to snap myself out of it. I'm like, you know what? All right, I've mourned my loss. And now it's time to move on, and push forward.
That's good.
It was no big deal.
So if you're taking notes, positive can come from anything. Focus on the positive.
Anything. And it's really hard to see that when you're in it, right?
Yep.
But you have to, you've got to just hit that reset and you got to start thinking, okay, I was fine before this happened. Now that this happened, it's completely out of my control.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do anything about it other than move on. And I was in this situation before this person came along. Now I'm back in that situation. So what's the difference? I was positive then. I can still be positive now. So staying positive. If you've had a really good employee leave you, or start and then it just didn't work out. I mean, we've all had that. I think all of us have experienced that in our business growth or multiple times. And this isn't the first time I've had this happen. Or I poured into somebody and they just screwed you over. Or 100%. I've had to fire somebody because they just weren't who they said who you actually interviewed. But I was saddened because this guy was like the perfect guy for the business, and it was like such a good fit. But it was almost that too good to be true situation. And I don't know. God can give me another one. I'll find another one. No biggie.
So in identifying the root causes, there are so many different ways to go about that. Looking at you learning from what you're talking about, right? Looking at the positive, keep looking at the positive. Don't focus on the negative. What other things can we do from a practical tip point to see hey, what's going on, root cause. Conduct SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, to identify internal and external challenges. Look at the numbers, right? Budget, P&Ls. I mean, from a business owner standpoint, there's all kinds of things that you can do to look at what's going well, what's not going well from a number standpoint, right? It's hard to make decisions just solely on thoughts and feelings, right? Sometimes we have to go to the actual facts, right? And make a decision based on facts. So think about that for a little bit.
Sometimes data overrules feelings in most cases.
Making a big decision on marketing, right? What do the facts say, right? That's a huge thing. Data, man, it can really trump a lot. But
yeah, I mean, you can take the data and then have your feelings based on that.
Yeah.
But don't let your feelings totally go against data. Data's a tool that we have to make decisions, right? As long as it's good data.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of you, I'm interested to see how many of you out there have actually done a SWOT analysis on your own business and physically wrote those things down and really analyzed it and looked at it. I'm really curious to see how many of you have actually done that. If you're on live, go ahead and engage with me. Just write SWOT in the, just do SWOT, SWOT. Put it in the chat if you've done this for your own business. I'd really love to see how many of you have done it, because if you haven't, it gives you a holistic view of the problems that you have and don't have, and the areas where you could see positive growth or positive reflection in your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because something's a threat doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, or a weakness is not a bad thing. It's just areas to work on and get better, but you have to identify those in a realistic way.
Doug's had a couple of good comments on here. Throw a couple of those up on there. Doug said, analysis paralysis can be a problem. Look for a good approach and try avoiding the perfect approach. That's for sure.
There's no such thing as perfect.
Yeah.
And perfect is never done.
There are too many times to count that the direction we take in response to trouble turns into something good. Often it helps us get unstuck. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure. We've got a couple of SWOTs on there, but I think
I've done it. You've done it. Yeah, I know EJ's done it.
Yeah. Moving on to our next step, talking about streamlining operational processes. And some practical tips there is identify inefficient or outdated processes that slow down productivity, such as manually scheduling or lack of clear workflows, right? You know, we preach SOPs in the Service Alliance group and in our own businesses. And that's a huge aspect that can really help.
Yeah, it's the only, if you don't have processes down, you're floundering. You are floundering.
There are certain instances. So it says manually scheduling things, right? So I remember back in 2009, excuse me, we had a Duratio come through. And I can't remember what software we're using in 2009. It's probably like Google Calendar or something like that. But we had so many calls. That Duratio came through and it tore down so many trees. We had down power lines, down meter services and everything. And we had to go to, we're just taking calls. I had 2 teams. So I was out there running, meeting with homeowners, getting a down payment, giving them price on things. And because of the situation, we were actually giving discounts on our services. We got to remember that here in a second, because that's an important step. Going out of our flat rate book, but we were giving discounts and making it a flat fee. So I would go out, meet with the homeowners, get a down payment, get them on schedule. At that time, we were having so many calls come in. Literally, Shayna and I can't remember who was in the office at that point, was just forwarding them to me, and I had a notebook and I was just writing their name, address, phone number down, and I would go meet with them. then I would say, hey, things are so out of whack right now that I'll put you on the schedule. You're going to be this. I'll give you a call when we're headed your way. I had 2 teams doing meter services. So 2 teams of 2. They'd go out. I tell them where to go next. They give me a call once that job was done. So in a week and a half, we did 92 meter services.
Wow.
That was crazy. I mean, my team was crazy awesome. Long days, long nights. But for 4 of us, 5 counting myself, we did 92 meter services in a week and a half. I could have been more proud of that team for going through what we did. The follow-up was the important part. Once we got the power restored from the utility company, then I'd go back out. I'd do a safety check, make sure everything was working, and then I would talk with them about other safety concerns. So we did a free safety evaluation once the power is back on. Then we're going to talk about this next week, the power of adding value and building loyalty. We got so many new maintenance service contracts, new electrical panels out of it, surge protectors, sold a couple generators from that. That month ended up being the best month we ever had in our business. We got one person that turned us into the attorney general, said that we were price gouging. So I took our price book that we had been using since 2004. So 5 years we've been using this price book. And I sent that to the attorney general, and I showed them many of our invoices where I was actually discounting the prices because of the situation. They literally threw it out like crazy, like in an instant. Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, it was state's attorney, not the attorney general, state's attorney. So I thought that was hilarious. But we're going to talk about the power of adding value next week. And I've actually got a blog coming out next week too. That's adding value, building loyalty by adding value. Next week's all about, the word was upselling, but I don't like the word upselling. I like adding value, right? So we're going to have a huge discussion about that next week. And then even on our website, we're going to have a cool blog. So
Yeah, you have to add value.
Yeah.
Every business needs to add value.
100%. So identifying inefficient, I don't know why I got on that tangent, but it was just the simple fact of we were using Google Calendar. And even though at that time it was the best for us, I still had to go back to pen and paper because that was really what worked best for us in that moment, right? It was just too overwhelming for the girls at that point. I think it was just Shayna and maybe one other part-time person in the office, but yeah. So you got to use what works best for your business in the situation, I think is the key point I want to put on that.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have to consider what works now. When you grow, it may not work tomorrow.
100%.
And it's hard to see into the future, but you need to plan for the future. You need to be ready to adjust if needed. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Red had the business, it was just pen and paper, maybe. When Shayna's grandfather took over the business, he used spreadsheets. When we started taking over the business, then we started using QuickBooks and Google Calendar. Then we went to HCP, so things advance. So you got to look at what's going to work best for your business, like Mike said. So what else we got to talk about here?
Reigniting team engagement and motivation.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you keep from getting burned out?
Yeah.
It's hard as a leader, as the leader in your company. You're the example. And when you're motivated, your team is going to just naturally absorb that. And they'll be motivated. But you need to motivate your people, and not just by being an example. You need to physically motivate them. So how do you do that? Make sure that the morale is good and address issues such as burnout. Unclear expectations are probably one of the most problematic thing that will crash motivation, because if nobody knows where to go, everybody's going in a different direction, then how can anyone be motivated towards your vision as the business owner? So if nobody knows your vision and nobody knows the direction that you need to go to get to that vision from point A to point Z, how can you expect your team to move in that direction if you're not very clear on what those expectations are on how to get there. You know, are we walking? Are we running? Are we driving? I mean, there's a lot of ways to get from one point to another, but how are you going to get there? What's the vehicle that's going to get you there? You know, you can drive a lot of different vehicles. You can get there really fast. You can get there really slow. You can go together. You can go alone. But without a plan and clear expectations and a clear path, you're not going to get there. You're going to spin your wheels.
Yeah. It reminds me of Habakkuk 2:2. All right. It says, write the vision down, write the revelation down, make it plain on tablets so that the herald may run with it. So write the vision down, make it plain for all to see. That's what basically Habakkuk 2 says. It talks about clarity and purpose, right? God tells Habakkuk to record his vision clearly so it can be understood and acted upon. So it's a reminder that when God gives you direction or purpose, writing it down, committing to it, helps you stay focused and forward and moving forward with confidence. So I think in your situation, this could mean simply asking God's guidance through prayer, through journaling. Journal, write down what you feel. Is he revealing to you something about your next steps? You know, whether that's in your business, in your marriage, and other areas of life. Right, writing it down can really help bring clarity and help you take action.
Something I've always done. I've always said this. Write it down. Like physically write it down on a piece of paper somewhere. Because when you write it down, it becomes a contract between you and your hand writing it down.
Yeah.
It's like a mental thing for me, and I have to write it down. So maybe try that. Look at it in that way. Say, I'm going to write a contract.
Yeah.
By writing it down, I've made a contract with myself.
No, this is a really weird thing. I like to take notes. You know, I'm still old school pen and paper. I've got notes like crazy in here. And I have found I've used cheap pens and I've used expensive pens, but I keep a plethora of pens that when I'm writing, if the pen feels just like it's got some weight, or if it just feels
solid,
good, you know, in my fingers when I'm writing, it just makes a difference when I'm writing for some reason. This pen here, it's a super nice pen, and it was given to me. It says Z-Line Kitchen on it. So I probably was at a trade show somewhere, and I've got a couple of these, but it's just something about having something to write with that feels good. You know, it's like when you go sit in a car. You've ever rented a car before, and maybe it's a little bit higher end car than what you're typically used to driving, and you get in it and you're just like, ooh, this feels nice, feels luxurious, right? You remember that. You know, I remember the first time I sat in a really nice Mustang. Sorry, I know you're a Camaro guy. But when I first sat in my first Mustang that was like super nice, I was just like, I really like this. And we ended up buying one because we really liked the way it felt, right? So when you're taking notes, get you a nice pen, right? And I've got tons of them that I, you know, and a lot of them have been given to me. This one's from Rise Up Kings. And it feels good when I write with it. So when you're taking notes, find something that you enjoy writing with, because otherwise you may not take more notes. Now, that's a weird thing that just popped in my head, but the pen, for Pete's sake. Anyway. Yeah.
I'm going to pop up Saul's comment. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles to overcome. There's no surprise that it's mentioned more than 400 times in the Bible. Being unstuck at times is all about using fear to motivate you. Fear, false events appearing real. I've said that for years now. And when you look at it that way, it'll give you a whole new perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. Perspective today, right?
Perspective.
You've got to have a good perspective.
Yeah.
So implement regular check-ins and transparent communication with your employees, and make sure that they are heard and valued, that they feel heard and valued.
Yeah.
And provide ongoing training, professional development, and make sure you boost their skills along with their confidence.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. All right, overcoming financial hurdles. Let's talk about this one for a moment.
Yeah. I think your pricing is always the first place to start. Are you charging enough? Are you charging too little? This is probably, as a coach, coaching guys and gals for many years, probably the biggest question I get all the time. Am I priced right? The answer is probably no if you got to ask. So I've created a little thing. Here's an easy way to help you get a price for a part or whatever. But yeah, just go back to the basics. Are you priced right? Right.
I've seen so many posts in our community where people have said, I've lowered my prices. I've tried everything and I'm still not getting work. That proves without a shadow of a doubt that just because you lower pricing doesn't mean you're going to get more work.
Yeah.
You need to price yourself at value, at what you're worth within reason. And obviously everyone's going to think that their value is different, right?
Yeah.
Or overvaluate themselves. Everybody thinks they're king, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to value your pricing where you will make money every single time. Even in the bad situations, you need to make sure that you're covered, that all your pricing is covering, the unexpected.
Yep.
So
look at your current expenses. That's another one. Your reoccurring expenses.
You have to know your. I'm going to be doing a talk on this exact thing. I'm going to be doing a webinar within the next couple weeks. I'm working on it right now, where I'm basically going to show you on the marketing end of it. And this is just going to focus on the marketing end. We're going to figure out what your budget is and how to allocate all those funds so that you get true ROI and how much you should be spending for where you want to go. So the way we're going to outline everything in this webinar is we've got a spreadsheet put together. You can physically see how much you need to spend every month to get to your goal and what percent you should allocate based on where you want to go, not where you're at currently, but where you want to go. So you need to start thinking of overcoming your financial hurdles by getting your dollars allocated properly and knowing where you're at versus where you want to go and what it's going to take to get there. And knowing that information is going to help you figure out how many jobs you need to do every month, how many call leads you need to get every month in order to overcome these financial hurdles that you have. And when you look at where you want to go and you set that target and it's far enough away to where not far enough that you can't reach it, but where it's realistic, talking about SMART goals here, when it's realistic, you can work towards it. And even if you don't achieve 100% of that goal, you're going to be so much further than you would have ever been without having a goal and setting those things in place, and taking the proper steps. And just doing that will help you overcome any financial hurdle that you could come across, unless it's something completely out of your control and devastating, like, a sickness, things like that. Maybe getting hurt or anything to those effects. But maybe you should also look at that. It could happen too. So you need to have that emergency fund. So if you set aside that emergency fund, you're prepared for if that ever happens or whatever may come your way, that's your unknown, and you bank that away.
One challenge for everybody out there this week is to audit one of your finances this week, be it your pricing, your subscriptions, your overhead expenses, and implement a small change to improve your cash flow. Another way you could do that is looking at alternate revenue streams. We talk a lot about maintenance agreements, so service packages, offering multiple solutions, not just, hey, here's how much it's going to be, pay up, sucker, right? Give them solutions. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can look at that.
The best way to do this is recurring revenue streams.
Yeah.
When you can implement a recurring revenue stream in your business somehow with these maintenance plans and some type of a service package, if you can figure out how to come up with that for your business and your customers and have multiple offerings, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to your business.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but
it's going to help you grow.
You remember Family Video? Did you guys ever have a Family
yes.
Video? All right. Family Video versus Netflix, right? Let's just look at that. Blockbuster, they tried to change, but they were just too behind the curve, I think, at the time. And then Family Video. I remember going to Family Video a lot. But you have Netflix that comes in, streaming right in your own living room. You don't have to go to the place to get the DVDs. It's X amount per month, right? So think about that in your own business. What's something that you can implement that is not a whole lot of effort, but can still bring in a monthly revenue stream? Maintenance agreements is the way to go. That's for sure. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
so
I think
let's talk about our last step real quick.
Setting clear goals for progress. Refocusing on your long-term vision. Ensure your day-to-day actions align with those goals. I'm just going to read through these practical tips real quick because I know our time's getting away from us. Break large goals into smaller, achievable milestones to create momentum and track progress. So we call them 90-day rocks. So you have your really big vision, right? Maybe it's a year, 3, 5 years out, maybe even 10 years out. How do you get to that, right? One little bite at a time. And it's 90-day rocks, what we call them. So if you're following like the EOS system, it's
for those that don't know what a rock is, explain it, Jason.
Yeah, it's a small goal, right? So I take 90 days and I focus on a goal. So I'm redoing our training process right now and making it a little bit more updated. And I've got that as my 90-day rock. So in 90 days, I want to have my new training process implemented. So what does that mean? New videos, new website pages, things like that to update it. I'm meeting with our master trainer and making sure that what we're putting on there is realistic things that need to be changed, not just going off the cuff saying, I don't like this, or, it's the small actionable things that really will make a difference in our training process. Things that over the last 90 days to 6 months are little things that are not the same and they need improved upon. So like we've got a couple of new partners. ServiceWorks was one of them that we brought on board in the last 6 months. They're not part of the training process online, right? So we physically have to tell them, here's how we do. So that's going to be part of the new training process. We brought on Rossware. We had to add 2 whole days to our training just to teach people about Rossware. So that was another thing. So yeah, so it's the little things that can make a huge difference in the next 3 months of your business, right? So
yeah, which means that goes to our last point. Stay flexible, adapt to changes in the market or customers' needs without losing sight of your core mission.
Yeah.
Make sure that your core mission is always at the forefront. And your core values along with that. Your core mission needs to be met, but it has to align with your core values, and you have to get there through your core values.
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of people deviate.
Yeah. Well, we're about there. Hey, this is Thanksgiving week, so gobble gobble. Y'all have a good Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Any big Black Friday purchases you're looking at doing there, Mike?
No. Yeah. I am staying away from a lot of that. If I find something good, that's on our list for Christmas, that's about it. I'm gonna take advantage of some stuff for Christmas, but not for myself.
Yeah. Me too. I'm usually the day after Christmas. I go shopping the day after Christmas instead of Black Friday. Sometimes Cyber Monday, but the next mastermind is December 21st, so a little over a month away
Yep.
on smart budgeting. And if you found something useful for today, pay the fee. That's it. Just pay the fee, and it's a free fee. All you got to do is just like, subscribe, share to Service Alliance Group, My Office Help, or Appliance Marketing Pros. We'd really appreciate that.
All right. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great, tomorrow and try and take the day off. I don't know if any of you are working on Friday, but if you are,
gobble.
I hope you go out there and just crush it this week, and we'll see you
Eat
next
lots
week.
of turkey, maybe ham. I don't know. Turkey it's Thanksgiving. I don't know what this whole
take
turkey
some
versus
naps
ham
after
thing
you
is.
do that.
Yeah. Watch the big game and the parade. Y'all have a great week.
Bye.